So nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
It's been quite a while. I think the
Oh
last time
yeah,
I
a
saw you,
few years, right?
I think the last time I saw you was opening up a combi oven because I think you were cooking some daikon maybe in
Oh
dashi.
yes,
Were
yes,
you?
yes, for the event.
That's right. Yeah, for the indie chef
Yeah.
event.
hmm
Was it daikon? I think it was
Yeah,
daikon,
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
I think I did the daikon dish.
Yeah, it was really good. What was that? I don't remember. It was that,
Yeah, so that
I
was
felt
a
like.
braised daikon.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was doing like double braising. The first is like a pre-braise, like braising. Is like I cook the daikon with a little bit of like rice and a lot of water
Yep.
to
Yep.
get rid of all the bitterness and everything, make it soft. And then second one was actually sous vide, like slow cooking,
Hmm.
braising with
That's right.
chicken kombu dashi
That's right.
and tamari all together and get all the flavors in.
It was really good. I think there was
Yeah, thank
cheese
you.
on top, wasn't there?
Yeah, yeah. So I have the a slice of brie cheese on the top, torch
Yeah.
it, serve it with a dashi.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, now
Yeah,
now I remember the whole thing. Yeah.
yeah,
It it was that's right. It was sous vide in the dashi, and then
yes,
you bruleed the brie
yeah.
on top. Yeah, that was
Yep.
really good. That was really good.
Thank you.
Anyways, great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're live, by the way, so we're just gonna do it.
Oh, okay. Okay. This is
Yeah,
live show.
yeah, this is it. You know, we're casual here.
All
Um,
right.
are you in between services right now, or like how?
No, today's actually my day off, but I call it working from home day.
Nice, nice. I love
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, I don't have to work for service
Um,
tonight. Yeah.
so I should have fact checked this and like just texted Brad or something, but like is your birthday recently, right? I saw.
Yes, it was on Sunday actually,
That's
but
right. Happy
of course I
birthday.
was working. Yeah, thank you. I was working for the service. So yeah, it's
Oh,
just like
yeah.
a regular day for me.
Did you do any celebration afterwards or?
Not really. I came home probably around like 11 o'clock, so it
Yeah,
wasn't that early. We
just
couldn't really go anywhere. So I'm actually hoping, Brad, my husband, he's thinking about taking me to New York in March
oh, nice.
for a little bit of celebration. So
Very
yeah, we'll
cool.
see.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we see you guys when you're up here.
Yes.
Um, um, so I have a bit of a through line for today, Masako,
hmm
because I always was fascinated with your background
Yeah.
and some things that I think we're gonna kind of weave into this conversation that I think will just be
hmm
helpful for everybody,
Yep.
and that I just love about you is I feel like you're constantly like tackling these challenges where you're the underdog, where
Yeah.
you have less experience and you have less advantage, and somehow you
hmm
still like excel, right? You tried out for the
Yeah, I
cheerleading
survived.
team. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you somehow like obviously you came to this country as an immigrant, um,
Yes.
and tried out for the Washington Redskins, now the
hmm
Commanders. They were the
Yes.
Redskins when you were there, right?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
it was. Yeah. hmm
yeah, and you were never a cheerleader before, right?
I was a cheerleader in Japan, but like we don't have any like football like
Uh
we
huh.
have here. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I was dancing there, but like not this like the highest level
Gotcha. Yeah.
as
Yeah.
NFL.
That
Yes.
must have been, yeah, I mean, that was, that must have been scary. And then obviously fast forward, you became the captain of the team.
Yeah. hmm
And then, similarly, you were cooking food for all the team. Obviously they loved it.
hmm
Delicious. They're like, what is this?
Yep.
And, you jumped into the culinary industry, which is
Yeah.
also really tough. Also
Yeah.
really tough for a female.
hmm
So you're this female immigrant with very little experience.
Yeah.
And somehow, like, fast forward years and Eater Chef of the Year. Now you're nominated for James Beard.
Yes.
Um, you know, I'm just curious, what's driving you to take these sort of big, they're not risks. I mean, they can be risks, but also just like these
hmm
big challenges where you're like, what are you telling yourself when you're deciding to like take on these giant, what seem to
Yeah.
be like really scary things.
Yeah. So I kind of like think myself as a kind of like a rebel as a Japanese woman because like my family too, like they didn't really like me taking risks. They
Hmm.
really wanted me to have this like, set life plan, which I really didn't follow at all. Yeah, but like, of course, like when I was, especially like when I decided to actually cook full time, it took me actually a while to pursue this because the way I was raised, and, I was working for a Japanese TV station, Washington
Hmm.
Bureau, which was like stable income, stable employment. So in order to ditch all that and just jump into like something I never done before full time, yeah, of course it was a challenge, but I think COVID was huge for me because that COVID kind of made me realize you really never know what's going to happen in the future. So if you don't do anything you love and you wanted to do, when are you going to do it? Maybe like 2 years later, the world's going to end. So I just had to, yeah, that was actually
Yeah.
kind of like, huge of my decision making to
Yeah.
jump into
Isn't
this.
it so
Yeah.
funny how, like, as humans, we need these drastic things to
Yes.
happen for us to
Hmm.
appreciate the little things?
Yeah,
Someone in the
totally.
family passes, or you come close to,
Hmm.
facing death. And then, of course, then you appreciate life so much more.
Yep. Yeah,
Unless
totally.
you have, I have an unnecessary, like, an unhealthy fear of never doing enough. I'm always feeling like I need to do more. But for the most
Hmm.
part, we always, yeah, it's weird how we need these cataclysmic things to happen in
Yeah.
order for us to really,
Yep.
um, take leaps. But you did.
Yeah,
Um,
I did.
I mean, we'll dig a little more, but maybe just
Hmm.
for folks that don't know a little bit about
Hmm.
your background in Kobe, coming here, just a little bit about your
Hmm.
personal background, because it's actually not too far fetched that you're in the restaurant business, given your background.
Right. Yeah, so I actually I was born and raised in Kobe, Japan, which is like about probably like 30, 45 minutes a train ride from Osaka. It's a really beautiful city. I was raised grew up there. And my family actually have a little bar and restaurant in Kobe for close to 100 years. Actually, we just celebrated our 90s anniversary last year.
Wow.
So it's almost there. So my grandparents actually started it, and my parents still running the bar and restaurant and little shop as well, as of today. And then our living space is actually above the bar and restaurant. So I come home to my parents' bar restaurant. Of course, I have to help them out. I was their free labor. So
Hmm.
always like industry is like in my blood. And, but like my family really discouraged me to go into this career because they know how hard it is. They just really didn't want me to go to this route. Yeah. And then actually first time I came to the States was when I was 16 years old. I was a foreign exchange student. I spent my junior in high school in Wisconsin. So yeah, yeah. It was quite an experience. It was great. No Japanese people, no Asian people there. So I had to use English to survive.
Yeah. Were you
Um,
were you were you fluent at the time, or did you go?
no, 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 like almost zero.
Oh my
So I
gosh.
was carrying like small dictionary with me all the time
Hmm.
just to have like one sentence conversation with my classmates. It took me a while because it was really hard. But that really had me practice using English. So that's one of the reasons I could like, communicate with you, like other people, um, better than like probably like, other Japanese people, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so that was my first time coming to the States. I spent 1 year there and I actually decided to do something I cannot do in Japan, which was a cheerleading. So I didn't have any like athletic background or anything. But I'm like, okay, let's try and see how it goes. And I made the team as a mascot first. It
As
was
a
Tiger.
mascot?
Yes, that was that
Wait,
was my
for
first.
the Redskins?
No. That was my high school.
Oh, in high
So in
school. Gotcha.
Wisconsin. Yes,
What
yes,
was
yes.
the
That was
mascot?
actually, it was a tiger.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that was actually my started like my dancing career. And I went back home. I never thought about like doing cooking as my career. So I went to college. I went to, I got the job in the office, blah, blah, blah. But I was kept dancing. And then I always wanted to like try out for the highest level I can try
Hmm.
out, which was NFL. And
Wait,
yeah, and
why?
then
What was it about? I mean, obviously and I apologize for interrupting you, but that's not not everybody thinks that, right? A lot of people, I'm sure,
yeah,
cheerlead and then don't decide to go try for the NFL. What was it
yeah,
that made you want to
sure.
do that?
Yeah, so I think it was early 2000s. There was a tour from NFL. They brought a bunch of cheerleaders to Japan and do clinic for Japanese cheerleaders. That's kind of like my first interaction with the NFL cheerleaders. And I was like, oh my God, there's like this gorgeous, like beautiful people, so nice and kind, and then they can dance. And I was just blown away. So, I was doing the same thing, like cheerleading, right? Cheer dance.
Hmm.
So I'm like looking at them. I'm like, hopefully somewhere in the future I can be like that. So I kind of start thinking about NFL like at that moment.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Did
So
you?
mhm.
Was there any particular reason that you went to the Redskins?
Commanders. Yeah.
Commanders. Sorry, I keep saying the
Yeah.
Redskins. I know I have.
So yeah. So the director of the team, she had a connection in Japan as well. She used to come to Japan every summer to do
Hmm.
like dance classes. I really liked her like style of dances, her personality. So that's kind of like made me feel like if I want to try out, I really want to try out for her team. Yeah, wanted to be her, on her team.
Hmm.
So that's why
Gotcha.
I
Yeah,
actually decided to try out
that's
for
great.
Commanders. Yeah.
So you became the captain of the Commanders.
Yes.
Uh,
Hmm.
what what do you? Well, I'm so curious because I don't know anything about
Hmm.
how that works, how the
Yeah.
cheerleading, especially for NFL. But I'm
Yeah.
curious if you've seen any parallels with what you're doing now with cooking to what you did
Yes.
um, in cheerleading, and then also like what did you gain from that? Like, what I'm sure there's some leadership skills and things that you now use
Hmm.
today. I'd love to
Hmm.
hear like any lessons that you learned.
Yeah. So definitely the leading the team. I really, I'm kind of, it's almost the same, like leading the team, leading the team of cheerleaders, leading the team of the kitchen. It's completely different, like genre, but the leading the team, that's the same thing. So yeah, I learned like everything about leadership, during my tenure in, as a captain of this team. Yeah. So, and then, like as a cheerleaders, like we had probably 35-ish like ladies on the team.
Hmm.
That's really hard to get everybody,
What makes
That's
that?
hard.
What's the hardest part about it?
I mean, a lot of people could be, some people could be dramatic. And, like we we I mean, there's different like personalities. They're coming from different background, to gather everybody together, to achieve like, a good level of performance. That's very difficult, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. So, and then kitchen too. It's exactly the same. We have, completely different background people. Everybody's coming from like different country. On my team, I probably 98% of my staff are immigrants,
Oh
actually,
wow.
including myself.
In,
So
in your
yeah,
in your current restaurant.
yes, yes, yes. So
So
yeah, like yeah, everybody has a big different background. Even we speak different language,
hmm
you know, coming from different culture. But like, just gather everybody to achieve a goal for us to serve good Japanese comfort food. That's the same,
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, you also and hold on, I'm gonna fix something real quick. This is starting to annoy me. There we go. My thing fell down. Um, you know, you grew up in restaurants with your parents, and
Hmm.
I'm sure you also totally understand why they told you not to do this because I have to imagine not a lot of vacations, not a lot of days
Right.
off. You know,
Hmm.
they didn't have a ton of time.
Hmm.
Um, and as a as a child growing up in that, I'm sure that impacts you today with your restaurant. Like,
Yes.
do you see anything that pops up now in your like the way that you operate or think because of the impact of your of your family from growing up in the restaurant?
Um, so I think, I had to help my parents a lot. Um, without getting paid, of course, because
Of course,
I'm there, I'm the
they're
kid.
paying you in love.
Yeah. That's a good way to say it. Yeah, but like I think, yeah, I mean, I don't remember, like you said, I don't remember going on vacation with my family at all. I don't even like going out with my family, except like, the like restaurant industry friends, like, you know,
Hmm.
restaurant and stuff. Yeah, those things I still remember. So to be honest, for me, like I'm really bad at planning vacations because I didn't do that growing up. So even like if I have like extra day off, I don't know what to do because I'm not used to it because I was like working and helping out like all the time, and so was my family.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. It's when that gets so ingrained in you. I know the feeling. Um,
yeah,
I mean, I have to imagine that there was some delicious food growing up. Like, do you have any like most
yep,
memorable things that you ate often growing up? In the restaurant.
yeah. It's really hard to choose like actual dish. But my mom and my grandma, there's a shrimp dish that they've done. I that's like probably like one of my favorite things, still up to date. It's like head-on prawns,
Mm-hmm.
braised in like sweet soy, like a dashi,
Mm-hmm.
like reduce it, like, and then like chill it for like overnight or like a day or so. So all the flavor actually goes inside of
Oh
the
yeah,
shrimp.
yeah,
Yeah, and then I actually like remade it not too long ago, myself. But I feel like I could never be that, I can never
I never quite
make
get it.
that. Yeah, exactly. The same dish that my mom and my grandma made.
Yeah. Do you
It's
serve it? Do
close,
you serve it warm, or cold? Or do you like reheat it or
cold.
cold? Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, it's like a cold like
Yeah, that
shrimp
sounds really
dish.
good.
I know
Yeah,
it's really good. So that's probably one of my favorite dish growing up.
yeah.
But like, like onigiri rice ball
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
with
love
little
onigiris. Yeah.
miso mixed in,
Mm.
those things. The one of the thing is and my of course like my mom cooks at our restaurant bar, and my grandma too. My grandma is a great cook as well. Both my grandma, my dad's side's grandma, my mom's side's grandma. So when I go to my mom's side's grandma, she knows, like she knew that I love eating.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I go there, like her house, entire house like smells like with like dashi, like soy sauce, mirin. So every time I use those ingredients at home or at work, it's just like bringing me back to like her house like instantly.
Yeah,
So that's like one of the things I still remember and
yeah.
feels like really so close to my heart. Yeah.
I'm curious, like, where do you source like katsuobushi and kombu and things like that? Like, where
Yeah.
are you buying that from?
Yeah. So there are like several really great Japanese vendors in DC,
Mm-hmm.
trusted vendors, of course. So I usually buy through them. But actually, so I went to New York last year, and I went to this one shop called Dashi Okume in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
They actually do customized like dashi blend.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. So when I have like special occasions, like some like, important like charity dinner that I do, I use that special blend as well.
Oh, that's cool. You know,
Yeah.
last season, I
Mhm.
had these guests on from a company called Japanese Pantry out of San Francisco, and
Okay.
I've been buying from them for forever. They have
Yes.
incredible
Oh, I
products.
heard of them. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
heard
gosh,
of them.
they have this liquid shiokoji that I don't know if you can
Oh,
get it
nice.
anywhere
Yep.
else. That
Hmm.
is, I always have bottles in my house.
Yeah.
It's just like a
Yeah.
add some umami. But I didn't realize the different iterations of katsuobushi that there's like
Yep.
this smoked and smoked and
Hmm.
fermented and
Yep.
different. So I went crazy and bought like 12 different kinds from them after that. But I'm always curious where people buy
Yeah.
those things. I know in New York
Yeah.
there's
Hmm.
obviously places, but what do
Yeah.
you think what do you think most Americans like misunderstand about Japanese food?
Yeah. So that's actually one of the reason I decided to cook full time as well, is that people really knows about sushi. People really knows about ramen, but not so much about the food I used to grow up eating, which was Japanese comfort food.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, yeah. So it's for me like cooking. I'm like educating people through my food in a way. But I think there's still a stereotype about Japanese food that we eat like sushi every day.
Yeah.
No, we don't. You know, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like one of my mission to through cooking. I really
Yeah.
wanted to introduce something people just don't know about my culture.
What's a dish? Doesn't matter if it's like, doesn't need your favorite dish, but like what's something that you think most people don't know about that they should?
I think it's just like the simplicity
Mm-hmm.
make the flavor so good. Like I feel like I see a lot of like restaurant and food. A lot of components in one dish, right? But I think Japanese food is very, very simple. Like it's probably like the main ingredients to make a flavor is
Mm-hmm.
probably like five ingredients,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just a different ratio of the ingredients make everything flavor like so different.
Mm-hmm.
So simple yet delicious and different. I think that's probably the people really don't
Yeah.
know about Japanese cooking.
Yeah. That's what I love so much about it is that it's
Yeah.
so simple, but
Hmm.
deceptively simple because you have to have, each ingredient is so important. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny. I cook, a decent amount of it at home just
Hmm.
because I mean, it's so comforting. My wife loves, like, I'll make chow and mushi like maybe
Oh
once every
yeah.
week or
Love
two, and just because, like, I have really good kombu,
it.
really good
Hmm.
katsuobushi, and I'll make a dashi, and then the next
Yeah.
day just really good eggs. It's literally dashi and eggs,
Yeah.
and we usually just do some braised, greens
Uh-huh.
on top, and it's so good.
Yeah.
And it's like there's like
I
nothing
know.
to it, you know.
Yep. Hmm.
And I think that yeah, most people probably don't unless you've gone to some sort of like really good izakaya place where you get, a lot of people probably don't
Yeah.
know about those things.
So I feel like, the food here, the kind of food get like a lot of praise in America has a lot of components into it. I totally understand, there's like a color and like crunch, like salty, sweet.
Hmm.
That's awesome. But I really, like I said, like I wanted to educate people through my cooking. So I just want to show like the simple ingredients can make the food really tasty as well.
Yeah. Um, well, I mean, is there any like, or is there a couple things that you always have to have around? Maybe
Oh
not in
yeah.
the restaurant, but at home that everybody needs to make sure they have.
Soy sauce, of course.
What kind of soy sauce do you typically like? What's your
Yeah,
go-to?
so I only use one kind of soy sauce. It's called tamari soy sauce.
Hmm.
It's gluten free. And I get the one called Sanjay Tamari.
Yeah,
Their
Sanjay.
factory is
Yeah.
actually in Richmond, but their headquarter in Japan is like, they've been there for centuries. Um, I actually did the soy sauce tasting in the past, and I was just amazed by like how rich the flavor is and how clean the flavor is as well. So right now in my home, in my at my work, like that's the only soy sauce I use.
Hmm. Do you use mirin a lot, actually?
Yes, I do. Mirin, sake, soy sauce, miso. Those are actually the four biggest ingredients. Um, yeah. So like I said, like I use like all those like four ingredients to a lot of like different dishes,
Yeah.
but different ratio that I can make a different
Yeah.
flavors.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. Um, cool. Well, sort of circling back to something we were talking about earlier, just sort of
Yeah.
your sort of stepping into these
Hmm.
new ventures as an
Hmm.
underdog.
Hmm.
You know, you very quickly you made a name for yourself in the culinary world, and obviously you pretty quickly became captain of an NFL cheerleading squad.
Yeah.
So there's um there's this notion that the lack of experience maybe has some advantages to it, but I'm curious how you
Mhm.
think about like the advantages that you see of stepping into these new things as an underdog, as being less experienced, being greener, and how you've kind of used that to your advantage, which clearly you have in some way or another, right? Because you've
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if actually it is an advantage because, I have to really try and work probably like 5 times more
hmm
than, people with a lot of experiences. So that's hard.
yeah.
you know, um, but yeah, I think what I'm trying to do, I mean, in terms of cooking, I think what I'm trying to do here in DC and here in America are a little bit different, a different kind of Japanese food, different kind of flavor. So I think that's actually probably I'd say that's an advantage
hmm
because I don't think a lot of people are doing the same thing I'm doing.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
other than that, it's just a lot of work, a lot of learning for myself, a lot of practice.
Yeah. Do
So
you do
yeah.
you do
Mhm.
you think about I mean, does I have to imagine this probably impacts how you hire, right? Like, meaning like
Yes.
if someone doesn't have experience, you're still like,
Yep.
heck yeah, come
Yep.
on in.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
do you have any sort of principles around like certain roles that you're hiring for that you want to make sure there's experience or not?
Yeah. So like I said, the food I'm cooking is not really familiar with most of the people. So I really don't see the experience too much of the background, like, I don't really care about like, oh, this person work at this famous restaurant or anything like that. So as long as that person is hardworking and wanted to learn, that's I think most important thing for me.
Is there a way you
Because
you vet for
yeah,
that when you're hiring?
yeah, I mean like when I talk to people, I can kind of sense that.
Hmm.
Because those are the things it's really hard to teach. I can't
Yeah.
teach people to work hard. That's like something they have it in themselves already. But cooking skills, making the flavors, that's teachable. So as long as like if this person has the thing already that I cannot teach, yeah, it's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
welcome in
No.
the team. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that.
Hmm.
Well, we talked about you being
Hmm.
a female immigrant chef. I want to talk
Yeah.
a little about like your
Hmm.
your thoughts on the industry as it relates to all that. But generally speaking, I know I
Hmm.
keep coming back to the same theme. Um, it has to be very stressful, right? You come to a country where you don't speak the language.
Right.
You're trying out for a team
Hmm.
that's I'm
Yeah.
sure overwhelming, right? It's NFL
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's a lot of pressure. Stepping into
Hmm.
a new industry of cooking and a lot of pressure there, right? And
Hmm.
again, not having to persevere through a lot of the disadvantages that you might have. Like, are there
Hmm.
things that you use to manage stress along the way, to maintain your confidence along the way, like things that you help to tell yourself to make sure that you
Hmm.
keep that confidence as you're stepping into these new kind of challenges?
Yeah. I think most important thing is love of what you do. Um yeah, I think I'm pretty good with dealing stress in like tough situation because my family were really tough people. So I was like, always like they were always putting me pressure all the time. So I'm kind of used to that type of like, situation.
What kind of
And
pressure?
of course,
What do they?
yeah,
What's
like,
in?
get a good grade, mostly that, like do
Hmm.
well in school, like, those things. Yeah. And also, yeah, like a cheerleading too. You will always test it like all the time. Even just to be on the game, we all have to try out and show the dance from the director. And if they don't like how you bring it on the stage, you get cut, So it's always like try and error. Like, so I'm kind of used to like those type of like a stressful situation in a way. And, I think I kind of like being pressured because that kind of like pushes me hard.
Hmm.
But in order to push myself harder is I have to have a love of what I do. And then, like I said, like, me being lucky experience in the industry, like I said, I really had to work hard, like hard, much, much harder than other chefs. Um, but I just really, really love cooking. And when I was dancing, I really love dancing. So the love for what you do, that actually drives me like more. I think
Yeah.
for me, that's the most important thing. So I don't mind like, creating the new dish, like having brainstorming idea when I'm in the bed. I don't mind it at all because I love it so much. It actually excites me.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And sometimes we take that for granted, I think.
Yeah.
I was obviously I cooked most of my career. Now I'm doing a technology thing in the cooking world. And
Hmm.
man, I love what I do so much. And I
Yeah.
love cooking. But
Hmm.
a lot of people that actually just never find that thing, right? Or it takes them a very long
Right.
time to find it because you're
Yeah.
so right. Like if you love something, all that other stuff
Hmm.
kind of, yeah, it's hard and it's
Hmm.
stressful, but it doesn't matter nearly as much because
Yeah.
you get to do the thing that you love.
Yeah.
Um, and we're really lucky,
Yeah.
to
I
have
feel
that.
the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, when you and I first spoke, well, not when we first spoke, but the last time we
Hmm.
spoke, I think we were on a call.
Hmm.
You were talking about just you really want to help, the women in the hospitality industry.
Yes. Hmm.
And I'm curious, like, one, what do you see as the biggest challenges right now, for women in the
Yeah.
industry? And
Yeah.
then also, if you could change one thing about
Mhm.
what, the construct of how it exists today, what would that be?
Yeah. So I think what I see is, um, still this restaurant industry is kind of like a male, like dominated in a way. So I think even when I got a job at the current restaurant, they didn't expect the chef to be a woman, a woman like me. So it was like really a glass ceiling that I had to break.
Hmm.
So a lot of like women chef probably experience the same thing that I have been experiencing. That's hard, Like I said, if you don't have a strong like mind and will and strong like personality, it's like you easily give up. I think the environment that we are put in as a woman, that really needs to be changed. So that's why like I feel responsible like for myself. Like I really feel responsible for me to be successful. So other like fellow women chef, especially immigrant women, I wanted to like inspire because I can do it, they can do it. So that's one of the things like I always like think about. And then I really wanted to change, and I'm hoping I am changing a little bit of like those things. Yeah, to inspire like other chefs in the industry.
Yeah. Do you think is it getting better? Is it stagnant?
For me, my environment is getting better at my restaurant. Like I said, like the restaurant I work at, Perry's, it's been there for 40 years. So it's
Wow.
like one of the iconic restaurant in DC. but they never had a woman chef. So they were not like all the staff were totally unexpected. Like someone like me is coming in to be a chef.
That must have
But
been. I'm sure it
yeah,
was. I'm sure it was a. Just the environment must have been a little challenging in the beginning.
it was very, very challenging to be honest with you. But like, people really sees you. Like
Yeah.
people sees me how hard I work
Hmm.
and how I'm like creating dishes that are well received by the guests. So, more and more like I try, more and more they accept me.
Yeah.
So now it's of course now it's getting better.
Yeah. It's just it is very frustrating that notion still exists of like that you actually have to show
Yeah,
more than some
exactly.
than because you're a female.
Yeah.
Like that
So
shouldn't be the
yeah,
case.
so that's the kind of like thing I wanted to create is that as a female chef, you really have to try extra, extra hard. I really wanted to like create the environment for the female chef that we don't have to work extra, extra hard. Of course, we all work hard, but I kind of want to change that kind of like
Yeah.
situation that we
Hmm.
have to do more
Yeah.
than others. Yeah.
Do you have like an outlet of where you talk about this with other female chefs or other
Yeah.
general?
Yeah, so I have like a small group of friends, like immigrant, like female chef. I have a great friend, Japanese pastry baking bakers in DC. She's actually from Kobe too. We
Oh
talk
wow.
about this like all the time, like how we have to like really work hard. But like she's actually changing the game, like pastry game in DC too. So she inspires me too, like, and I kind of like inspire her
Yeah.
too. So yeah, but like yeah, I'm just try to do my job really well. So that's that kind of like the results that like I can inspire like other people like me.
Yeah. So when we last talked, you mentioned that like I asked you just if there are women that do inspire. You mentioned your mom
Mhm. Mhm.
and also Bobby Pradachi's mom.
Yes.
And I'm curious, what is it about those two? I mean, moms are always inspiring, but
Yeah.
independent of that, like what is it about those two that really inspire you?
Yeah. So Chef San, let me talk about Chef San because I love her so much.
Hmm. Bobby's mom.
So yeah, Bobby's mom.
Maybe can you
So
give a little
she,
like wind up of like who they are so that people
yeah.
know? Yeah.
So Bobby is a great chef. He's a friend of mine. He now lives in Seattle. He has this pop-up concept called Amone. And his mother is actually a chef in DC, Laotian chef.
Hmm.
And she has several restaurants in DC. Her food is always great. She's very successful. But she's one of the hardworking chefs that I ever know in this industry as well. So, but um, the the things about Chef Sang is she always care about people around her. Like she always cared about me. She always like, send me texts or message like every once in a while. Hey, how you doing? Um, so even like her working so hard, but at the same time, she can care about like other chefs. That's like inspiring.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really wanted to be like her.
It's amazing how contagious, those
Yes.
positive actions are.
Yes, and she makes me happy. Like every time I get the message or she come in and eat my food, that makes my day. Like that makes me really, really happy. So I want to be like her.
I love that. Cool. Well, moving on a little bit because
Mhm.
we're wrapping up here. I know you're
Yes.
I know you're busy. Um, I always think about, and I think now I just say this too often, but I always think about 5 years ago, if I'm not embarrassed about what I was doing um, then I'm not growing fast enough. But I'm curious, like you're now in this new industry, right?
Mhm.
It's been at least 5 years, I think, right? Since you started professionally cooking. Um,
Actually, two and a half years
oh
ago.
my gosh, 2.5. Wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we'll do a different time horizon. How are you different from when you started? Like, what's different today about you than when you started?
Yeah. I think the core about me never changes, right? Like I've been working hard my entire the two of course 2.5 years. But the cooking wise, I'm evolving like every day. Like even like a month before and now I evolved. Um yeah, like it's just, the cooking I always have like crazy ideas that I wanted to make it happen. And I feel like that's like the task I give it myself. So every time I kind of like conquer those tasks, I feel like I'm evolving.
Yeah. Is
So
there
I
something
think
that you're
compare,
doing? Sorry, is there something you're doing today that you're like, wow, 2.5 years ago, there's no fucking way I could be I've done this.
yeah. So 2.5 years ago, I only knew that I already knew, right? Like the cooking wise, like um all the family recipe that I was doing that, right? But like I get bored easily. I want to do something more, something fun. I want to think outside of the box because a lot of Japanese food kind of like stays the same. Like if you go to like different Japanese restaurant, their menu is kind of like similar, right? For me, that's boring. So I wanted to evolve. Like I want to do something, like I said, outside the box. I wanna use some ingredients that we don't use for Japanese cooking. And that's like really exciting. And then at my at Perry's, the restaurant I work for, I always try to put like 2 or 3 different specials every single week. So I'm constantly creating something new and fun and delicious. So that makes me evolve. Like that's
Love
like
that.
huge difference. Like when I started 2.5 years ago and now I really push myself to to do something to create something fun and tasty. But I try not to be cocky, Like I don't go for just an Instagram picture. Like I really need to make sure it tastes really good. But yeah, I just wanted to do something fun because if I'm having fun like creating, then people who eat my food, they feel fun. They feel happy. So that's like the core philosophy I still have from like, since I started. But the cooking wise, um, I'm like now finally be able to show it, my like happiness, my joy, um, into my cooking. That's the difference.
Love that.
But now I'm still evolving like every single week.
Yeah. You think your parents will come see you? I know they came to see you when you were cheerleading, but you think they'll come see you cook?
I really hope they can come, but from Kobe to Washington D.C.,
Big
it's
trip.
like 25 hours like plane ride.
Hmm.
So my parents is getting a little older, so it might be a little bit hard. But every time I go back home, I try to cook for them, so
That's great.
they can at least like taste my food.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure they must be so proud. I tried, by the way, I tried to Google. I found the
Yeah,
liquor store. I found Morshita
yeah,
Liquor Store, but I couldn't
uh-huh,
find the restaurant. I think I just wasn't searching.
yeah,
I searched Morishita Liquor
yeah.
Store, Morshita
So
Restaurant.
yeah, the bar restaurant is attached to the shop.
Hmm.
Actually, it's a small like standing bar style bar. It's really tiny. So maybe it's like hard to like Google in English.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, probably. And you said your uncle has a spot too, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, they have a little neighborhood spot as well. So,
Um,
yeah,
so outpost someday in Japan for
yes,
Masako.
yes.
Are you gonna open a spot in Japan sometime?
Ah, we'll see. If I have a chance, but we'll see. We'll see. I still have like a lot to do here. I
Yeah.
still have like things I need to achieve in the States.
Hmm.
So maybe after, I felt like I achieved something here, then maybe.
Yeah. Well, you've achieved a lot already. But
Thank you.
what is in the horizon for you? Like 5 years from now, what's like the next big thing you're
Yeah. I for the next 5 years, I really like hope I still have this like happiness and joy towards cooking. And I also wanted to introduce like my Japanese home cooking to wider audience. So I'm hoping I can write the recipe book that people can easily cook at home, the Japanese comfort food
I
in
love
American
that.
household. Yeah. So that's actually one of my goals as well. And of course, to break the glass ceiling for all the women chefs, especially the immigrant women chefs.
I love that. I love that. Well, I can't wait for that. Well, we're wrapping up. Is there anything else? Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would be helpful or would be fun to share, or anything you want to share with the audience?
Um, yeah, I think in this like next few months, I can't really say much details, but I have a fun like collaboration dinners and event coming up. Actually in New York too. And like everywhere in DC as well. So yeah, please just like, I post a lot of information on my Instagram. So please keep an eye out. And yeah, if there's anybody who wanted to start this career but don't have a courage, just please send me email or DM so we can talk and like, I can like totally help you out.
All right. Well, we will put we'll put your Instagram handle in the show notes.
Sounds good.
I will spare you by not putting your email just in case. But,
Okay.
but they can reach out and
Yeah.
find you and the restaurant. And
Sounds
this
good.
was great. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for
Thank you so much.
for
Yeah.
coming here and take some time.